The cattle industry is meeting for their summer meeting in Denver, and joining us now is the president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, Tracy Brunner, who is from Ramona, Kansas. Well, Tracy, is here we are in the depths of summer. First, let's, I guess, talk about the best news. You know, overall, ranchers have had a pretty good summer. Pasture range conditions really holding up.
Well, that's right, Ken. You know, better moisture conditions around the country. Cattle producers are enjoying a good summer grazing season, and have had good crops over on the crop side. So looks like feed prices are going to be reasonable for some time ahead, and forage supply is very adequate.
Well, all right, so now we've got the fun out of the way. Now let's get to it. A number of issues. Always this time of the year at this meeting, really the heavy lifting takes place. And yet again, another year without doubt. Lots of things still, a lot of unfinished business. Seems like we talked about the same things almost a year ago. Here we are, TPP, not quite yet at the finish line.
Well, that's certainly right, and as our listeners will know, this is a national election year, and trade agreements have been severely damaged by political rhetoric from both of the major party candidates. We believe that the silent majority U.S. voter has yet to speak, and that trade is very important to the American economy, and the United States has and should continue its role as a leader in world trade, and that when we get past this election, that some degree of sanity and common sense will return to our political process, and that TPP can then be addressed. As cattlemen, this is very important to our next generation of cattle producers. We need a level playing field for fair and free market access to these growing and expanding markets of the world, and TPP is the best way to reach that. TPP needs and to be voted on and passed. America needs to retain its position as a leader in global trade.
Well, one of the things that we didn't think would play out the way it has is what's going on in the Supreme Court. Some of the rulings have been good for the beef industry, for cattle producers. Some have not, and some really kind of waiting for ruling if they would have taken place, you know, before the next session. We're still 4-4 in a lot of decisions. Has that been good, or is that still something of concern to members of NCBA?
Well, you know, we continue to advance our members' interest in all avenues possible. Litigation and the court system, while not preferred, is another avenue. Currently, the Waters of the U.S. rule is in stay for judicial determination, and you know, we continue to work for legislative fixes and remedies to that as well. And I guess in the longer term, we believe that with a new administration, perhaps a more responsive EPA, that will be able to work on behalf of American cattlemen, their private property rights, and get a better interpretation of this federal jurisdiction, Waters of the U.S. rule.
Some of your predecessors, we've had conversations like this, and we've had highs in the market. Maybe your time would be seen as one of volatility in the cattle market, but one thing that NCBA is not sitting on the sidelines, being very active with the CME group to make sure that the markets aren't being volatile for the wrong reasons. Well,
you know, Ken, that's a good point, and the rate of change continues to escalate, and our markets move faster and change faster than ever before. One of the features of the futures market is the advent and utilization of high-frequency trading by speculators in the market. This has caused increased volatility. It's a phenomenon that occurs in financial markets all around the globe, and other commodities are experiencing use of high-frequency trading and increased volatility in those markets as well. So from a cattleman's perspective, cattle are a perishable commodity. We believe that our commodity is different than than others, and that perhaps the electronic trading of our contracts should warrant some additional or special consideration. We're working with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange to that end. It's a very complicated issue. CME has been responsive and has participated in discussions with us, and we're confident that they will continue. So no resolution or yet, but we have some things that CME is going to try, and we're going to continue with a solution-oriented approach and try and help make our markets more workable for the cattle and beef industry.
One of the issues that a year, 18 months ago was one of those buzzwords, sustainability. NCBA is a task force on sustainability, even looking from a global standpoint. Have we made progress? Are we doing well when it comes to sustainability from a cattle industry standpoint, in your view? Well,
from an industry-wide standpoint, yes. We know the cattle industry is very sustainable, and from an association and a perspective, we have invested in the sustainability study and effort. Several years ago, the formation of the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef was put together, and it's a consortium of over 100 major cattle industry firms and ranches and companies all throughout the beef chain around the United States. And this Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, as an organization, has contracted with NCBA to serve as the administrator of their group. So NCBA, with the expertise and the manpower, the knowledge on how to attack an issue like this, is serving the greater whole industry by administrating the Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. One thing that is a high priority for that organization then is the study and development of metrics or of data on water use, land use, and environmental conditions in cattle and beef production. And by developing those metrics and that data, then we set a foundation and a baseline, and then when we redo that in a few years, well, we'll be able to see how we're doing, see if we're improving, because that's one of the things that's most important to sustainability, is that we're not only know that we're doing well, but that we're always improving.
Tracy, thanks a lot for the update. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Well, thank you.
Tracy Brunner, a cattle feeder and rancher from Ramona, Kansas, who's president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, has joined us. I'm Ken Rogers.